Hi, Leather Rokk here. Welcome to my channel. Here are a couple of days in my life. Good, the bad, the ugly, including my cats as usual, and maybe a little bit of marijuana smoking. So stay tuned if you're not afraid of that. I hate to say this, but this cake absolutely sucked. I made this cake. It called for 3 eggs, but I put 4 in because they wanted extra large eggs and we only had medium. This cake was smaller, denser, tough. Oh, and it's got mold on it now. Ooh. Oh. Happy birthday to me. Ugh. MacArthur Park. Can you tell that it's raining? There goes my cake. My birthday cake. Someone left the cake out in the rain. I don't think that I can take it because it took so long to bake it, and I'll never have that recipe again. Oh no. Actually, I think I'm going to burn that recipe. MacArthur Park. Who think I get to film real live MacArthur Park? Wow. Okay. Better bring this in before. Yeah, I have a plastic bag around my keyboard. Huh. MacArthur Park outside my door. How's about that? See a little tomato. Here. Little baby tomato. This tomato has gotten 3 times as big as it did when I first saw it. Oh dear plants. I constructed a little bit of a privacy screen here so the light isn't obstructed for the plants, and yet I can walk behind my scarves and ties here and all the interesting assemblage of humanity outside doesn't have to see me and what I'm doing. That way I can actually reclaim use of this grow room for more than just the storage room. I don't trust the cats not to get on that table and possibly knock the scarves and stuff over, so I'm actually going to close the door. I hope it doesn't get too cold in there. You know, cold and the plants don't do well. That radiator very rarely even heats up in there, and we have bled the radiator a number of times. That room tends to be quite cold. Hello, you, Cassie. Boy, here's my baby. My sweetheart. Oh, my sweetheart. Let's see that pretty face. Let's see that pretty face. Let's see that baby. Oh, there's my baby. Are you my baby? Yes, that's my baby cat. That's my baby cat. There, let's see that pretty face. Tabby boy. Oh. See, that's my baby right there. It's almost 20 minutes to 5. I think I need to wash my face and go to bed. Oh, you see the wooden spoon on those doors there? We think there's a mouse running around there. And I don't know what closing that up is going to do any good, because the mouse, I think, can eat its way or her way through wherever. Making coffee this morning. Oops. Of course, this isn't plugged in. Would be nice to plug the coffee maker in. Okay. And today's coffee will be pumpkin spice 7-Eleven coffee. Last week, my brother was going to another one of the 7-Elevens, and they were going out of business, and they had a bunch of coffee for $1. And my brother got every kind they had, and they had pumpkin spice, and they had blueberry. So, in a few minutes, there will be coffee. And this here is tea that we always keep hot and ready. Since I just got up, I wiped the sand out of my eyes, put a little bit of this on, and I always wear sunblock, no matter what the season. Gotta at least put some on my face before I get the day started. Tabby boy, you want num-nums? You want num-nums? Okay, you want num-nums? Look what I have. Oh, I want you guys to see Tabby boy loves this. Look at this. Oh, num-num. Num-num, look. Let everybody see. Let everybody see your num-num. Oh, num-num. Oh, yes, you got num-num. You got num-num. And why is all this food on the floor, huh? Food's not supposed to be on the floor. Food's supposed to be in your bowl. Because when food gets on the floor, then I have to step in it and grind it into the carpet. And food ground into the carpet is food that no kitties get to eat. So, eat your food. Good num-nums, right? Good num-nums for a good kitty. Okay, got foundation on, got my eyebrows on. Found a little something to put in this coffee grinder, and it's not coffee. I'm gonna go inhale in the plant room. Time to do some smoke inhalation. I gotta be real careful. I have a flash drive stuck in this computer so it doesn't get in the tight, skinny spaces that it used to. Alright, and now that I have everything moved around in here, I don't know where the heck to put this computer, so hold on a second. I really love this room so much more now that I have the screen made so the plants still get their light, but I took this clothes drying rack and I used it to drape a whole bunch of scarves and ties on. So now I've got more privacy. The dirt balls outside don't see that I'm in here. And look what I have. So, yeah, this is the way I like to wake up. I don't want to offend a bunch of people, so I'm not going to show most of what I'm about to do on camera, but you guys get the gist of it. You know, this is the best way to wake up. It really does. And one thing you guys can look forward to is I'm going to be doing another cooking show. Or not a show, but rather a cooking video in less than 2 weeks. And I'm a little bit happy about something. This coffee grinder here, I gotten most of the out of it. But to find out that there is some more in here, which means I will have enough for another little bowl this morning. And you know, I'm sorry. Not that I think I owe anybody an apology or a justification for my life or anything, but I love weed, especially if it's good weed. You know, that just does something about life. That's kind of like, well, I read an interview, Steven Tyler of Aerosmith, and he was talking about the subject of drugs, period. And he said that drugs is kind of like salt for meat. Can you imagine not having salt? Well, I don't do anything else, drug-wise, chemical-wise, but I love pot. And there's something about weed, yeah, it is kind of like having salt for your meat. So, this is all the things that I have given up and changed about how I live my life. I really don't want to stop enjoying cannabis. It is definitely added to the quality of my life. Sometimes it's just like getting a big old hug from the universe, So, yeah, that's the last thing I think I would ever stop doing. Good morning. It is 11:07 a.m. Yeah. Okay. Maybe the coffee's ready. Coffee. Everything I've done today, and I have not had my coffee yet. Sometimes life gets in the way, and you just have to take care of business. Oh. Ooh. Oh. That's... Thank you for letting me know. Well, a little bit of warmth in the back of the screen I don't think is going to be bad. So,
should I go eat my breakfast elsewhere?
I'm just going to put the sweetener in my coffee and then get it out of here.
You know you don't have any makeup on, right?
I have my eyebrows on and I have foundation on. As long as my eyebrows are on, I'm okay. Now, if I don't have my eyebrows on, then I don't think I'm camera ready.
Goodbye.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, brother.
Yeah. You didn't think I wasn't gonna ambush her? Come on, man. Okay. Gotta have my coffee. Look who's here. Cassie. There's Cassie. good? Cassie, my girl. Oh, boy. Look who I got. Oh. Already singing the song, your people. It's not even noon. It's 12:02. 12:02. You're singing the noonday song? Hmm? Oh. Huh?
I hear a complaint.
Yeah, it's her noonday song. Yeah. Go on, girl. Really? No. This soon? This soon? Hmm? Oh, no. Oh. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Why? No. I don't think so. No. Oh, don't put your paws on my keyboard. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna put you down now. I'm gonna put you down. I feel really bad not being in Washington, D.C. I have so many mixed feelings about everything that's going on. The marches are going on. Well, all the news all over, at least all over America, seems to be the coronavirus is really spiking, that they're running out of hospital beds some places, and that there are so many places where they're saying don't even have family over for Thanksgiving, and yet there are all these well-meaning people that are out supporting our president, and I have deliberately not looked at any of the footage yet. I'm probably about to in a few minutes. If not for that pandemic, I would definitely be there, and the fact that I'm not there, and I wish I could be, but I know that everything that I would do would be so unsafe. You can't be there and avoid people that you recognize. How are you going to exchange digits and contact information from a safe distance? And if you have to be over 6 feet apart, you're going to have to raise your voice, and the louder you speak, the more you're projecting potentially virus particles. So there's just no safe way to do any of this. And yet all those people, and I'm afraid of what I might see if I do see footage there. You know, if I see a lot of unmasked people getting really close, and I'm thinking that's just gonna, I don't know, I'm probably, maybe I've dodged a bullet, so to speak, by not being there. But still, I wish, if not for that, the virus, and the fact that, you know, if I had already been vaccinated and I thought that there was no way for me to catch anything, I would go there. But there's just, I couldn't see a safe way. Still, I feel like it's so weird that I'm here when I should be out there, and I'm not. Maybe I can get some day job stuff done today. I really have this wish order I would like to make. I found a deal on some red and some purple N95 masks. And since it looks like this pandemic is going to be here for a while, even with the possibility of a vaccination on the horizon, but I see these things that I want, and in a way it's hard to justify some things, but on another hand, why not? Even though waiting that month for the slow boat from China, that's a real pain. Sometimes you just should be grateful that you do get whatever you get in time. Like in the case of my getting the sequin purple face mask that I had in time for my birthday. There's still some Trump masks that I haven't arrived yet, but they said that it wouldn't come until probably around Thanksgiving. That's the thing with Wish. I haven't been disappointed with anything I bought from them, though. I really haven't. She's beating me. She's beating me in the ass with her cane.
Stop it.
This is daughter abuse.
Stop. Stop it.
No, just say hello.
Leathur,
She's
stop
gonna
it.
kill me. Okay, go.
You're done for the day.
Hey, I gotta have some kind of footage for you guys today. I wanted to be in Washington D.C., but since I couldn't be in Washington D.C., I decided that I would give you guys some little vlog posts, a couple of days in the life of me. All the craziness. I'm sorry, I can't help it. And she just said, I don't have a life.
Okay.
Second cup of coffee. Oh, I put one sweetener in instead of two. I don't know how anybody can drink coffee without sweetener in it. You know, I guess it makes things less complicated, but that's more like it. 2 cups of coffee a day is what I allow myself. I don't think it's asking for too much for it to just taste good. Now, wish I had a little bit of weed. That would be perfect. Or maybe a little bit more than a little bit, truth be told. And if I was in Washington, D.C. right now, weed would be no problem to get. But for COVID, but yeah, I could get weed. I could have weed if I was in Washington, D.C. Thank you, COVID-19. Thanks a lot. I have some leftover rice in the steamer, so I'm putting that in to warm up. I'm going to get out, I have half a can of chickpeas here. I'm going to put them in the strainer, and my goodness, never seen them stick in the pot so much, and they're not bad or anything. They have, I'm not using the liquid they came in because there's a lot of high fructose corn syrup and stuff in them. Some beans you do want to keep the liquid from, I've learned. Like sometimes they make those chili flavored pinot beans or kidney beans. Those I don't change. I don't drain them. I'm using the sprayer too, just to get all that stuff off them. And then I'm going to put them in this little grab it Corningware bowl. I have a can of, oh, what's left of a can of pork. You ever get your hands on this, made by Lakeside Foods? And I'm sure other manufacturers make it, but it is really good. And there's not a whole lot left. I discovered that canned pork, and this is already pre-cooked, by the way, pork and garbanzo beans, for some reason, really go well together. You wouldn't think, or I didn't think at first, I would have thought that since garbanzo beans or chickpeas, peas, have a strong flavor, and I would have thought that it would compete with the pork, but they go well together. They don't clash in the way that like a black-eyed pea, I think, would. Now, that said, black-eyed peas, in order to make Hoppin' John, they do involve pork. But when I use this, I like to add extra water to it, and definitely salt. And I'm going to cook this down with some dried thyme and some dried rosemary. Thyme and rosemary are good to cook with as opposed to some spices that you would add maybe closer to the ending of cooking. But since rosemary is like one of these evergreen kind of almost like pine needle type of herbs, I think it lends well to using in some of the earlier stages of cooking. And since this is not going to be longer than probably 5 minutes or so, I would say, I guess, the same thing with the thyme. Do this without dumping anything on my keyboard. Here. I also like to add a little bit of cumin to this. There's a chance that somebody might not have put it away. I think cumin is really great in almost any kind of bean. Alright. I don't see this cumin. Oh, here it is. And I wouldn't use a lot. I would just... But the holes are big in this, so actually more comes out than... You try to do a little bit, and more than a little bit comes out. But I'm gonna... About there. I'm guessing that would be about 1/8 of a teaspoon. Since what I'm making is really only enough for one person. I'm just making enough of this bean and this chickpea and pork mixture to put over the rice. And I don't have a whole lot of rice in that pot. So, okay, I'm going to do this very carefully so that I don't expose my computer to heat here. We all know that heat and computers are not a good combination. And I'm hoping that my computer's balanced in an okay manner. I'm going to turn the fire down some on this. And I think it needs more water. So I'm just going to use the can that the beans came in and use that to carry some water to this. And definitely needs salt. I think even for people on low sodium diets, some salt really seems to be necessary to bring out the flavor of pork. I think salt is important in the cooking process, but this is already cooked. The pork is already cooked before it's put in a can. But I like to add salt to the pork and the beans as they soften up. And the salt really, I think salt's really important to bring out flavor of all beans. I think it's important to infuse salt in the cooking process when you're cooking dry beans. But now some people think that when you add salt to the cooking water, it can make beans tougher. But that's why you're boiling them in the first place. Another thing I've noticed when you're cooking dry beans, they used to take so much longer to cook. I think as they make new varieties, scientists are always breeding different kinds of food plants. And I'm sure there's also, unfortunately, genetic engineering also going on. But now, it seems to me that when I was in Hollywood, California, and I was cooking a lot of dry beans, and cooking beans was like an all-day affair. Cooking beans was something that you did, got the water started well before 12 noon, and you cooked them, and it seemed like it took about 8 hours. Well, I remember a couple of years ago, I got these dried cranberry beans that I'd never heard of before, and they looked pretty much just like pinot beans. And I started to cook them like I used to cook beans when I lived in Hollywood full-time, and they cooked down to absolutely nothing. So beans, you really do need to look at the bags they come in And if they say it only takes like 2 hours, believe them. Trust that. Monitor them. I would certainly be careful if you're using a slow cooker and you're definitely going to leave it unattended. It really would suck if you're spending money for all this stuff and you cook it down and you have something that has absolutely no consistency to it, that's runny and nothing to chew, not anything interesting. That's another reason why I don't understand these kind of soups where you go put the beans through a food processor and you end up with something that's very, very, very creamy, and it's such a runny soup. It's not interesting. It's like runnier than baby food even. Like you might as well be making yourself a savory tasting smoothie. I think that when you are cooking something as good for you as beans are, you want to avail yourself of all the fiber. And the more you grind things up and soften things up like that, I would think the less fiber and the less satisfying an experience it would be to eat it. I'm going to cook this I just want to reduce the liquid to a certain extent so that I don't have to keep on adding salt to it, but I'm sure I will. I'm sure I mentioned this before. I never add salt to rice when I'm cooking. I used to back in the day, and I finally realized that even if I add a good amount of salt to the water when I'm cooking rice, when the rice is cooked, I'm still adding a whole bunch of salt to it anyway. Or if it's Chinese food, I'd be adding soy sauce to it. So, in effect, I'm doubling my sodium, and it's totally unnecessary, since if you're going to use salt, the whole point is for flavor. But nobody wants to put too much salt in their diet, so I don't put salt in my rice cooking water at all. It totally doesn't. It's almost as if I hadn't put salt in it anyway, so there's no sense. I think it's just total waste. Okay, see how a furious boil this is coming? I'm trying to think if there's anything else that might be worth putting in. You know what? A little bit of garlic powder. Just a little bit. Even though you know I could use a lot, since it's not like I'm going out socializing. Garlic is good for you after all. Oh. One other thing I'm going to add, cayenne powder. With this, a little goes a long way, and it does go airborne. Not only the particles in the air when you're shaking on things, but when you cook it in the water, as water boils, the powder gets airborne, and people throughout the house can mention that it can be irritating. So I try not to do it too much out of consideration for the other people here. Alright, I turned the fire off on that. Because I'm using Corningware to cook with, Corningware retains heat longer. It kind of can be trickier to cook with, I've discovered. I don't really love Corningware. It's irritating to me that they're so fragile. If you drop them, they break. But obviously, metal won't do that. And there's certain things you definitely cannot cook them in, such as ramen noodles. You can't cook them because once they're done, the food still tends to keep cooking, and any kind of pasta would get overcooked. I would definitely never use Corningware to cook pasta, but my mother loves Corningware. One of the things she loves about it is that they are engineered that you can go directly from freezer to stovetop. And while I know they're designed to do that, I think that feels so many reasons of wrong. I have to bring things from freezer to room temperature. I don't think, or refrigerator to room temperature. You got this thing that's cold, that's got condensation on it, and you're going to put that. It just seems to me that everything that I know about the expansion and contraction of things and how that causes a little piece of moisture can get in a little crack that you don't even know is there, and that's how rocks break up. So to do that with cookware that has food in it, and you have it either over a gas stove or in an electrical appliance like your toaster oven, or maybe somebody has it in a microwave oven. I don't like the idea of freezer to a heat source. Just doesn't seem right. Okay, the boiling seems like it stopped. I'm going to go and unplug the rice, and I'm going to adjust for seasonings, and I'm going to see what my lunch looks like. There we go. Oh, you can tell by looking at the button on the side that the rice is done. It puts it directly on warm. If you don't unplug it shortly, I noticed the rice tends to scorch a little bit on the bottom. It gets, well, not scorch, but it gets that little bit of browning, which many people don't mind. But if you don't have a whole lot of rice to start with, what it ends up doing is it dries out that lower part and it makes it harder to chew, and it's not as pleasant an experience to eat. So in that case, when I'm reheating small amounts, I like to really unplug it within 10-15 minutes of it being done. Okay, I've got hand mitts. I'm going to grab the rice. If I did use those, I would definitely hurt myself. So, and we really don't have a whole lot of rice in here. So, but this is what I use to stir it up. This has a non-stick surface in it, and this is the latest in a fairly long line of rice cookers I've had through the years. Something like this will keep from scratching it up. And as you can see, I pulled the plug before the bottom could get any kind of coloring on it. Not a whole lot of rice, but enough for one person for lunch. Of course, there is no vegetable in today's lunch. What would be good is if I could sneak on over to the garden and swipe some more kale. That would be really wonderful. The last of the kale I had a salad, and then my mother put kale in some soup or something, so it didn't go to waste. Well, it would help if I got a bowl of some kind. This will be smaller than I had planned, but you know what? Doesn't matter. So I have more than one serving. You know what? A smaller container is better. Then I'll feel like I'm actually going to give myself seconds, even though this really isn't very much rice. This was my first time cooking parboiled rice, and I was really surprised. I searched before I actually did it. Did you know that parboiled rice takes just every bit as long as regular rice does? It takes a full 20 minutes. The only thing is it's less starchy. I'm going to go ahead and put some salt anyway, because I know I'm going to need hella salt for this. It's less starchy, supposedly better nutritional, and it doesn't look like it would be better for you. But I am disappointed that it takes longer. It takes so long to cook. I wouldn't have thought for sure that because it was parboiled, it would only take 5 minutes. I was expecting it to be like the ramen noodle of white rice. So, you live and you learn. How does this look? Well, I bet it's going to be quite wonderful. Still needs a little bit of salt. Very good. Look who's here. My Cassie girl. Cassie. Oh, look who's here. My baby. My baby girl. Oh, where were you? I haven't been able to find her for like 3 or 4 hours, and I had to chase Tabby Boy out of what was Ace's office room. Well, All of a sudden, I heard it crying. Sounded like whenever I'm gone out of the house and people tell me that Tabby Boy was crying for me. The Tabby Boy was asleep in my windowsill. So I walked down the hall, and here Ace's door was closed, of course. Figured there was no cats in here. And here, that's where the crying sound was coming from. And it looked like my brother was still safely asleep, because I don't want World War III from him seeing me go in there and stuff. So I opened up the door, and Cassie ran out. So she's back. She's back here. My little girl. I don't know if somebody was hunting a mouse or what. Tabby Boy was there, and maybe Tabby Boy and you were having a little kerfuffle. And Tabby Boy is the mouser. We don't know if she's ever caught any mice. Tabby Boy has really good hearing, and you have to be able to hear a mouse to catch it, apparently. So we don't know if Cassie can be a mouser. But that door really needs to be kept closed. Cats don't need to go in there. There's too much for them to get into. And we know the mischief that a curious cat can cause. I filmed here earlier because somebody up the street had a real loud sound system and sounded like they were having a birthday party or something. It was so very loud. I can't even imagine how it must have been if the windows had been open. I didn't want to let any of the so-called warm air out. But it's quiet now, so I was able to give an update. I'm about to go and check to see if the water's boiling in the kitchen. I'm only using a couple of salt packets and not a whole lot of water. I just can't see dumping half my salt just in water. And you always still have to salt the sauce anyway. This is a furious boiling water. So, where the hell did I set down my macaroni? I got this bag of macaroni. You think I could find it? This is ridiculous. I don't know. I'm gonna have to find it. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna throw in some egg noodles. Not a lot though. And this is a pound, so I think I'm gonna put like less than a half a pound. We'll have to be more like a third of a pound because there's not that much water. It's like a little bit less than half a pound. Normally I would do a whole pound, but everybody else had pizza, so I'm gonna cook these until they're al dente. One of the things I like to do when I cook pasta, about a minute before I think it's done, I turn the fire off. I put it on another burner that's not the hot burner. I let it sit a minute or two or three, whatever. And that way, I can't ever overcook it. And it gets just almost done. So it ends up al dente. And that way it's perfect every time. Okay. I always like to take a clean cup, stick it underneath the strainer, with it not pointing in the direction of me, because don't want scalding water to give me the shower, the cooking shower. No, we don't want that. I see somebody that took pizza in, took hot mitts too. Nice. I always like to save some of the pasta water. Go ahead here. Then I'll get started with the sauce. Tonight I'm completely cheating. It's 10:35 p.m. so I'm actually using a canned sauce, but it looks like it's amazing. So I'm gonna. Plus it has real olive oil, and don't you know, I don't have any olive oil. It smells good. Wish you could smell it. And I could smell the garlic in it. Okay. Oh, yes. And this is saving me so much time in cutting up the onions and sauteing the onions and chopping up the garlic and putting in the basil and the oregano, and not that I mind doing any of those things. And then straining the clam juice and simmering that, and then adding the clams. This is saving a lot of time. Want to see what it looks like before I... Certainly don't want to spill that on the... I'm going to melt those things either. I don't think I'm going to have to doctor that up with anything, but in case I do, let me see what I have in the way of herbs here. Herbs straight from the garden. This is sage here. I know I have basil up here somewhere. This is the basil, but there's not a whole lot. Let me smell. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and add a little. Turn down the fire some. Really don't want to overcook a clam sauce. You make the clams rubbery. So it just needs the tiniest little bit of a simmer. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit with some of that saved pasta water. One of the reasons why a lot of chefs seem to add pasta water is to give the sauce an easier way with adhering to your pasta, but I don't think that that's really a case with a non-tomato based sauce. I don't know. It's still nice to stretch out the pasta. Stretch out the sauce with more water. So I'm going to assume that that's just fine. I'm going to plate it up and get ready to eat. When I boiled the pasta, I threw in some red pepper flakes. That does make the capsaicin go airborne, so sometimes other people notice and you get a little bit of irritation, and you can feel it a little bit in the back of your throat. But I like to think it gives, in my case, the egg noodles I just made, a little something extra. Gonna have to do this here. I have just served myself, and I'm going to taste for the salt and pepper, and then I'm going to eat. Gonna have to do this here. I have just served myself, and I'm going to taste for the salt and pepper, and then I'm going to eat. Mmm. Tabby boy, you eating your num nums too? Let's see Tabby boy. Tabby boy! Tabby boy, here's my baby. You my sweetheart? Of course you are. That's my baby. Is that good? You like your num num? Huh? You like your num num? Oh my kitty. I don't know if I showed you this or not. This is what I brought back the last time I raided my garden. This is a real Jersey tomato. Cherry tomato. This keeps sitting out there a little bit more. This just about right. It's got that feel. You can tell when a tomato's got that just amount of give and softness. And this looks like it needs to get more color, but yet it has that softness. Wish you could smell it. That would be really great when they finally invent that smell-o-vision and you could film a video and you could really smell things like that. That would be really cool. I'm going to show you the what I thought was parsley, but now I'm wondering if it's not celery. It smells exactly like celery. I know there's lots of different kinds of parsleys. This, by keeping it in the water, it stays fresh. This is what it looks like. Now on here, doesn't this look like celery? But the thing is, celery, whenever I've gotten celery in supermarkets, it's always in a stalk and it grows together. And this stuff in the garden does not grow like that. It grows like grass. I think, well, there's going to eventually be edited up a video that's going to be all about the progression of the garden, and that will show how it grows. But it's not all together in a bunch growing, alright? So, but this definitely smells like and tastes like celery, but the leaves are similar to the leaves of celery, but what is supposed to be parsley, has a stronger flavor. That said, celery leaves have a strong flavor to it, so this is good in soups of any kind. This is good in ramen noodles. This is good for any thing that you would use celery leaves for, or parsley. And if you're raising caterpillars, if it's a caterpillar that eats them, and you can tell by whatever plant the caterpillar is on that you find, that's going to be a plant that the caterpillar eats. I'm going to need my mother's cooperation for that video. Parsley's not the only thing I have here. This is fresh rosemary. Rosemary dries out right away. When rosemary dries, it really shrinks. Matter of fact, you want to see how much rosemary shrinks when it dries? Check this out. Here's what rosemary looks like after it's been dried a couple of weeks. This says Fresh Garden Rosemary, September 23rd, but this has had some pieces put since then. See how much skinnier these were than the needles of the fresh plant that I showed you? It's amazing. And you know, a good way to really get use out of rosemary like this, put this in a coffee grinder. Same kind of coffee grinder that you can use to pulverize your weed, pulverizes this too. And that way you can really infuse the flavor in things like stuffings, gravies, rubs for your meats. Do not let your cats eat it. But by infusing the flavor like that, also you won't have pieces of pine needle type things getting stuck in your teeth. Think about it. Good stuff. Want to see a leaf lettuce plant that's almost in flower? What is in flower? The flowers are in buds. Look at all these flowers. And these are the leaves. You can literally eat these. I was letting these grow and letting these grow because I was expecting the leaves to get a lot bigger. I was expecting leaves bigger than in my hand, okay? And maybe because it's a lower light situation than it could have been if it was actually outside. But the leaves never got any bigger and it just grew like a hanging plant. So I was able to put it on my windowsill and have it just hang down. And just when the leaves get older, they just have a stronger taste, that's all. And so maybe instead of using them raw on hamburger, you can tear them up and put them in soup in the last few minutes of cooking or something. I definitely let them go to seed. You let them flower, and then there's going to be seeds, and you save them for next year. I'm waiting for the flowers to open up so I can show them. I just had to call the police. There's been a loud group of people smoking crack across the street. And the reason why I know exactly what it is because I was watching them do it. And no, I almost wouldn't mind if people want to be stupid as long as they're quiet. But if they have to make noise, like yelling and hanging out right underneath my window and yelling, and it wasn't even the kind of yelling like when you're talking on a cell phone, but for some reason you have to yell. They're just, anyway, I've had enough. I had the lights turned out for the past, 15 minutes or so that it won't be right away that I'm going to be known as the snitch. I've had enough noise. It is 5:44, no, excuse me, 5:15 in the morning. That means it's late enough that people don't need to be yelling and screaming. Maybe doesn't occur to them that people actually live above the storefronts where they're yelling and stuff. But it's bad enough. By the time it's 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to be waking up by the racket downstairs, and that's going to go on till at least 12. And then the people that are going to be loitering out in front, yelling and screaming, and actually they're going to be starting to do that at 8 o'clock. So there's a sweet spot of time that if I stay up a certain lateness, and then I am tired enough so that I sleep through the racket downstairs, and then I wake up when the racket's over. If I can time it so that I wake up around 12:30 or 1 o'clock or so on Sundays, that is the most perfect thing. That is absolute perfect. And I have fish sticks in the toaster oven right now. And the dingus went off. I'm going to check them. I may need to turn them over and do them a few more minutes. And put them over a bagel. And that's going to be my late night snack. But then I'm going to have to wash my face. And I really should get to bed. But these people, I cut them some slack. I let them carry on for the longest time. what's the worst is when there's two and there's going to be a little conversation, and then their friends show up, and then it becomes 3 people, and then 4 people, and then somebody recognizes somebody across the street, and then they have to yell. And we had people treating us to music across the street. There was, it wasn't just the neighbor having a party or whatever. There was people that would show up and play their car stereos and stuff. And I figured it wouldn't last too long, you know. But still. And this is Saturday night, so you gotta figure that the weekends are bad. Usually, a lot of times, Friday's worse than Saturday, but it depends. And I would think now, if people are afraid that our governor's on the verge of another lockdown, then they're really gonna party hard. Oh, look who's here. Look who's here. Oh, look who's here. Oh, I got my Cassie. My Cassie. Cassie girl. Look what I got. Wanna make a phone call? Here, wanna make a phone call? Here. Call the police. Call the police and tell them what? Tell them you're a spoiled kitty. Tell them that you can't hear. Ask them for the teletype. TTY, right? Tell them because you can't hear. Cassie can't hear, right? But you can smell a fish. That's why you're here. That's why you're out in the kitchen instead of in the hallway. 'Cause you smell fish sticks. And you think I'm going to drop you some. You hope, you wish. You're here for the fish sticks. 'Cause you like food. You like food, right? You like food. Oh, pretty girl. This is my pretty girl. This is my pretty girl, yeah. There's police out there, and I want to keep it looking like there's lights are out. So I'm taking the bagels out, and I'm putting the bagels back in. I want to slightly toast the bagels so that the butter can melt on them, and then I'll put the fish sticks on them. And this will be my snack. And with any luck, I'll be in bed before dawn. Maybe I don't know if talk radio is going to be any good. I know the radio is going to be boring. All local radio is really boring on a Sunday morning. So it might be just as well to play one of those sleep subliminals that has like either rain sound or ocean sound. And it has usually some kind of prosperity subliminal in them. Not all music is equally good to try to sleep on. There's this one that has a Japanese flute, and it gets really distracting because it's quiet for a while, and then all of a sudden the flute plays, and it's very jarring. And it seems to me that if there's something you're going to fall asleep to, it should be something that lets you fall asleep without you being fooled by the quiet passages, and then all of a sudden, And the same thing for the ones that have too many bells. Unless they're constant in the background, that's fine. But if they're the ones that are passages that are quiet for a while, and then they have crescendo of bells for the chorus, that can interfere with trying to fall asleep. Good, got them done, got my butter. You know what, the one thing that I really hate to run out of most as far as staples go is butter. There's something about when you just are used to being out and assume that there is none, and you get some bagels and find out that there is butter. I think having really good bread and having good bagels and having no butter for them is just so dreary. The only time I think that's okay is if you have something like sardines in oil. That is wonderful on bagels. Plain bagels, though, I think are really boring. They definitely need butter on them. Everything bagels, I think, are the absolute best. And so are onion, so are bialys, so are poppy seed, so are sesame seed. Salt anyway. I like to break up the fish sticks on the bagel so that it's like a little goes a long way. And then, of course, I have to avoid the extra attention from the cats while I try to eat this. Little shake cayenne pepper. And a little bit more salt. But the thing is, this salt here, it's really great. It does have bigger grains, so it's going to make it harder to stick on some things. You know what kind of salt I've never even seen before? I've heard about it in some of the cooking magazines. It's supposed to be flaked. And I imagine that would really be useful for cooking, for something that you know will stay put where you put it. And this is where I'm very careful so that I don't trip and spill my food. Oh, you know it wouldn't go to waste. The cats would definitely take care of it. Okay. See if you can see this. Bon appetit. What do you think of the pink mascara? This is very pale pink. Check this out. Where is it?
What?
I want us to see the gravy. Here.
Oh, come on.
Oh, this is really good. This gravy, handmade gravy, and oven-baked chicken. Using crushed corn chips, or not corn chips, corn flakes, and herbs, including some of the herbs from the garden. I wish you could smell this. These chicken pieces have been baking in the oven, and we're going to have it with green beans and gravy and what? Oh, and baked beans. Say hello.
Leathur, I'm going to kill you.
I know, she'll kill me.
Please
All right,
stop.
to be
That
continued.
is so rotten.
So my mother's really pissed off that I did that, and I tried to explain to her that people really love to see her. She adds a certain warmth and a certain charm, and people like to see family dynamics and things, and as far as her thinking that she doesn't look good, and she now is reminding me that it's been 3 weeks since her last haircut. And as far as her color goes, I really love that gunmetal gray color. It's so, and now her bangs are not long, but there's she'll gripe and moan about little pieces that grow long around here. Anything here that touches her ears drives her nuts. And she has been actually pulled individual hairs out by herself. She would do that and it would just drive me crazy. So, okay, I will give her another haircut. And she is duty bound to do the video of the hair dye. She promised me that we would do a mother-daughter hair dye thing, not my doing my hair at the same time, obviously, but dyeing her hair. I have the stuff to do it. When I went to the beauty supply place the last time, which was what feels like it had to be 3-4 months ago. I got her own, not her own hair dye, a more expensive brand actually that happened to be on sale. Even then, I found out that Rite Aid had a sale of her original brand that was $1.50 cheaper. But now Rite Aids have turned to Walgreens, and it's very hard to find a standalone Rite Aid that's close to us. So, but my mother doesn't seem to understand that people, especially when the video is a vlog video, and vlogs usually show families and stuff. And we know, everybody, the world knows that we are in the middle of a pandemic, that people are stuck at home, and they are going to be looking not their best. I mean, there's times when I show myself that all I have on is foundation and something on my eyebrows. And like the other day when my mother said, you don't have any makeup on. And first of all, it's always good to remind me, because maybe there's a chance that I may actually be forgetful, or maybe I may have done a wake and bake, and so I kind of forget. Because even though I do tend to be pretty conscious of my appearance, and if you're filming, you can't help but see yourself in the monitor. But as long as as long as my eyebrows are on, I feel like I look normal. Everything else looks better, but I gotta get used to the pale pink eyelashes. All from wish.com and a company called Handayan, if that's how it's pronounced. Real interesting packaging. I will show you when I go back into my room. Packaging looks kind of like the Dior lipsticks. It has this interesting knob on the back, and they don't have the names. The colors don't seem to have names. They just have numbers. A lot of companies have that, and if you have a lipstick that the number is number 2, and then people ask you, you're doing a makeup tutorial, people ask you, oh, I like the lipstick, what is it? Oh, it's number 2. So, yeah, but better than, I guess, having a name that maybe is only in their language and you can't pronounce it, and you can't translate it, so maybe numbered or just as well. And then you have to look at the packaging on the shipping container to see what number translates into the color. And I've had to do that a number of times so that I don't have to open up the packaging and break the seal on like an eyeliner or a mascara or something. And I have actually done that to find out the colors on some mascaras. That's why I'm wearing the pale pink mascara right now. I was curious about which one was red and which one was pink. And these are supposedly waterproof. I really hope they are, since I have such a problem with mascara absolutely running. Not so much when I'm home, but when I'm filming outside. That's such a problem, and it's so embarrassing when I have to look good for something that a sequence that I'm not going to be able to reshoot, and my dialogue is totally ruined because I'm looking worse and worse as the afternoon goes on. That's happened too many times, and I'm tired of it. So if I can get something that'll stay put, that's good. And once I figure out a company and a brand has something that works for me, then I'll be a repeat customer. Like I want to get some more of the eyebrow colors. So what I'm wearing today, by the way, is not one of those 2 purple liquid lip colors. It's actually 2 powder eyeshadows from the Color Festival palette from B&H Cosmetics. Obviously, this is not waterproof. You can't go swimming in it. But I wouldn't wear this to sleep in expecting to look perfect when you wake up. Hint, hint. But that said, I think this is great for makeup for when you're indoors during a pandemic, or for just something that you know is easy to wash off at night. Sometimes the things that are more waterproof, they take more time when you're washing your face. An extra cleanse, you need to use something with an oil to take care of your waterproof facial makeup, eye makeup, and then a basic cleanser to get rid of the excess oil on your face and to really get your makeup and stuff off and clean your face. And it's a real hassle sometimes. There's so many times I know I have to wash my face. It's like round almost sun up. I just wish I could just go to bed. I know I have to wash my face, but you got to go through all this effort to wash yourself, and then uh, washing, then the skincare, all the different layers and stuff. And sometimes I'm really glad that I got some bottles of different preparations from wish.com that have like 4 or 5 of the ingredients that I already have in my regimen, so I don't have to do an eyedropper of 5 different products. And of course, you have to make sure that you start off with the watery things and you end up with the oilier things. Usually, the retinol is the oiliest thing. So lately, I've been using 1 or 2 watery things, and then I use this spray or this eyedropper that actually has 5 things in it, including my vitamin C, including my retinol, including some of my acids. So, but I like those little containers. They're much more travel friendly than having 5 bottles of something else, even though travel is something I think really ill advised in the middle of a pandemic. I wish more people saw my perspective on that. Judging by all the people that like to have marches and gatherings and protests and things, and the looters and the rioters and all this other stuff, nobody seems to think it's not good to go out, and they wonder why COVID cases are spiking. Gee, wonder why. This is the Color Festival palette, BH Cosmetics. It has a lot I like and a lot of dingy blah colors. It's really an odd palette, but I got it for $4 on deep discount, and it's a palette that I thought I lost. For months I accepted that I'd thrown it in the trash, and I found it in the hallway in another bag. So I was thinking about an eyebrow color when I don't have something better, and I'm combining this color here. All these colors have names. There's a color called VIP, very, 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 very dark purple, almost a black purple, metallic. And this is a matte fuchsia color called Sequins. And what I did was I did the inner corner, or no, the inner part of the eyebrow I did with the sequins, in the outer part I did with this color, lightly on an eyeliner, flat eyeliner brush. I'll show you the brush that I used. I used a brush that's really good for brushing the eyebrow shape. Hold on, I'll show you the brush. Look at this. I made some instant mashed potatoes because there's all that gravy. And here, hopefully I won't have a problem. I wish you could smell this. I wish you could taste this. This gravy, see, I'm not a flour gravy person. I know about cornstarch. We don't have any cornstarch. Haven't had cornstarch for like over a year. My mother made this with gravy. I mean, with flour. This is an amazing gravy using fresh herbs. Well, not fresh; they are dried, but dried real herbs, and just fantastic. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. I mean, she should call this Scarborough Fair uh, dressing, but no, we don't we don't call stuffing dressing. But this is gravy, and mm, very good, very very good. I want to show you this chicken thigh. It was baked I'm going to show you this before I add salt to it. I'm going to be very, very careful. I have to be careful since I added salt to the mashed potatoes and there was enough salt in the gravy that no salt was needed. So I don't want to add salt to potatoes, and it's not going to be attractive once I break this up. And this is a salt. Oh, this is a good tasting salt. One thing though, the salt comes out in these hard little balls, so they don't stick to surfaces very easily. So you really have to have something moist to put this salt on, and hope you have a way for it to dissolve in whatever you're using it for. I did a pretty good job of timing it so that I was asleep during the earliest part of the morning. I actually slept through most of the riffraff. I gotta keep on adjusting my tomato plants back here though, because they keep on shifting, and they're supposed to be up here in the window. Now it looks like we got people hanging out talking underneath our windows, and I'm afraid I'm going to have to throw the window open and ask them why, when it's 2:36 in the morning, people have to hang out and have a conversation. Can't they go inside someplace? This gets on my last nerve. I was wondering if this pale pink mascara makes me look like I'm not awake yet. It is 2:37 in the morning, very late on a Sunday night, so if this looks like maybe I just woke up, that's not the case. That's just a new mascara. Maybe it would look better with a dark eyeliner and darker eyeshadow instead of matching eyeshadow. I don't know. Maybe the riffraff will be quiet because it's getting too late for all their noise. Oh, want to see the shirt? This is a memorial shirt for Ronnie James Dio. This was held at Duff's Brooklyn, in Brooklyn, New York. It's a heavy metal dive bar. As I recall, my experience there was really odd because I got sober in 2004, and to go there when you don't drink, it just feels really odd. It's a really small place. It's too small to have a dance floor or anything, and so when you don't drink, you're aware of the fact that everybody around you is drinking, and it's one of the most alcoholic feeling bars that I can think of, and it's something that only somebody who used to drink but doesn't drink anymore understands. It feels different than other places that you can get lost in other aspects besides the fact that it's a drinking establishment. They have probably, if you love heavy metal music, they have the best heavy metal jukebox anybody has. So I totally recommend them. And they also show rock videos and videos that are kind of sort of related to like softcore porn and really sexy Japanese anime and stuff. So it's a really interesting place. Definitely recommend it if you're a metalhead. It's in Brooklyn, New York, and it was popularized by bands like Typo Negative. And when their singer Peter Steele passed away, they had a memorial there. So anybody in that scene, that was an important bar. Alright, I put most of the dishes away, and hopefully there will be no more crackheads hanging out in front keeping people up. I really hope that I don't have to call the cops. I would like to go to bed before the crack of dawn today. That would really be nice. I hate to sleep a day away. Might need to get things done tomorrow. Actually, what I really hope is that I get some stuff done day job wise so that I can more soon make that wish order. And yeah, even though I really hate waiting a month for things to arrive. Ooh, I hear police and some people being jacked up across the street. Very interesting. Interesting. Flashing lights outside. 3 cop cars parked diagonal. I missed the excitement. I wanted to show you that there are 3 little miniature tomatoes on my plant. And they keep on falling over, and I have to be really careful that I don't break them as I move them. Of course, I should have them staked on things, but that would mean they'd be even more vulnerable to breakage. Because say I did have them all staked in this one big blob, then it'd be so easy for the cats to knock them over. And Tabby Boy, every now and then, they've forgotten about this area, but then they're gonna remember it. But let me see if I can show that there's 3 tomatoes. I'll point them at you. This is one, and a tiny little baby is this one right here, and the other one is right. Oh, there's 2. There's this one here, and there's a tiny little. If I had a decent lens, you could see this. So I have 4 tomatoes on my plants here, and they are going to winter over. And this radiator feels cold when my hand puts on. We've tried bleeding the radiators before. The first year we moved here, I had a bunch of big pots with tomato plants and things from the previous apartment. And I also had a really big rose bush. It was cut back, to winter over, and it was a really big pot, like, I don't know, a couple gallons. Anyway, all the plants gradually died, and it was a real bummer. I was expecting to winter them over completely, but so I don't care. I'm surprised that the plants did as well as they did last winter time. Those plants were ultimately able to be transferred into the ground outside, even though when the storms that we had with all the high winds and everything, apparently my plants didn't do well. But that was because the guy trellised them up and made that box kind of thing. And whenever you have a big open air structure like that where plants are separated instead of together and tangled up, they are much more vulnerable to high winds. At least when my plants, I had them the way they were, that they were tangled up, and then when I unpotted them, I put them pretty much in the order that they were. That way they had each other for support, and when the plants, when the tomatoes fruited, instead of laying down on the ground rotting, they at least were supporting each other. So it was the farmer's idea to make the cages, and they were nice for a while. He makes them out of bamboo. See the flashing lights? Yeah. It's real high class out there. So, yeah. I'm supposed to take a look at I have a box of tomatoes that I've been trying to ripen. I should take a look at that today to see if anything is ripe. My brother is still in the kitchen, and he's making pancakes. I don't know, most families, different people can be in a room together, and it's not a problem, and it's not there. I've seen smaller kitchens, but I don't live with an Ozzie and Harriet existence, so It's crazy. It's so dysfunctional. It's ridiculous. Okay, here's the tomatoes, what they look like now. I don't want these to spill all over. Ah, this, aside from, oh, there's a wormhole. Oh, damn. This looks right. Some of the cherry tomatoes are definitely ripe. It's a shame I didn't go and get some kale. I'd like to say maybe I go tomorrow before the rain starts. It's getting colder and colder. I want to show you something beautiful, but I don't know if it's ever going to change color. This is green, but it has markings on it. I think this is one of those heirloom tomatoes. Well, anyway, I'm going to have a new kitchen. Oh, great. He made her some extra pancakes and she offered me some. You know, my favorite way to eat pancakes is with butter, salt, and pepper, and a little bit of Tabasco or some kind of hot sauce. That is the best way to do it. Yeah. As opposed to illegal, this is not anywhere near as good as Tabasco. But it's all I need. I was making hummus. Actually, that was what I got started on when my brother came in to want to make his pancakes. And in my rush to get out of here, and I started mashing them using this hand masher. And I realized that I had forgotten to boil them a little bit first. These are straight out of the can and rinsed. So now I am going to put a bunch or these into 1.5 quart Corningware. I didn't mean to shut that off. I'm going to put this right here. And I tried putting them all in here and it was just too much. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a small amount of liquid on this and I'm going to boil it and watch the hell out of it. I only need to soften these up a little bit and I really don't need a bunch of extra liquid. But since these are beans get sticky and can burn real easily. I really should have simmered these first before trying to do any of the mashing. Just goes to show what happens when you get distracted. Even my mother got uptight when she was in the kitchen with him. That's ridiculous. Shouldn't treat people like that just because they're doing something in the kitchen. It's what families do. This is ridiculous. This is what this looks like. But I have to add some liquid to this. I have This is going to make me kind of nervous, but I'm going to go ahead and, well, maybe get all this plastic away from the stove, and I'm going to add some more water to this. Alright, I'm going to simmer this in water for a little bit, and we'll see what this ends up being like. Want to see really beautiful, what must be an heirloom tomato? Or maybe it's just in the ripening process. It's got the green and the pink. Just really pretty. There's another one like that too. These are taking their good old time ripening. That's good. Better that than them ripen all at once and then you don't know what to do with it. You end up cooking a lot of things. What happens when you drop a tomato on the floor? You actually rinse it off, then you soap and water wash it. Do it more than the 20 seconds that they're saying you should allow for hand washing now. And that is how you de-germ produce, especially if you drop it on the floor. The moisture has boiled off of it, and it looks like, please don't give out on me. Oh, yeah. I think I am now going to be able to mash this up, and basically going to mean going like this until it's soft. I like my hummus dry and crumbly, not real creamy like some that I've seen packaged. So in a few minutes it'll be done. This was easy. I just dumped the contents of this back into the original bowl. By the way, there had been overflow before I cooked it down. I'm going to use this thing here and just mash it down. And since it is cooked down some, it squashes down so much easier. And there is what seems like a lot of moisture in here, but not too much. I like my hummus with a lot of texture to it. I added some rosemary and some thyme to this when I was simmering it. And I also added some fresh parsley from my garden. I'm still wondering about the exact kind of parsley and why it tastes so much like celery. I'm wondering if they're not genetically related. This tastes like it could be a cross between celery and parsley. And with all the plant breeding that agricultural colleges do, like take Rutgers University for instance. Rutgers, that apparently has such a great horticulture program, they named a New Jersey tomato the Rutgers after them. So, and you think about all the different varieties of beans that they cultivate now. The one thing that sucks about having to soften up the beans first is you end up with a really hot mixture and you have to end up putting it in the refrigerator for a couple hours to cool. And I notice with a lot of things, when you give them time to hang out in the refrigerator, the spices and the salt in it gets a chance to flavor, and it really, the flavor definitely enhances with refrigeration. And wait a minute, you know what? I think it needs some more mashing. I really don't want too many whole chickpeas in this. A few I don't mind for the texture. This is going to be good. I brought the hummus back from the refrigerator. Oops. See, this is what it looks like. But I think it needs a little bit more lemon, so I'm going to throw in some lemon pepper. I think it needs a little bit more garlic too. So throw in, this is just straight garlic powder, so I'm not adding more than that. Then I'm going to go ahead and mix these up. But since this is plastic, I want to use something harder. So, okay. Not quite the utensil I was going to use, but at least. Now I have hummus. Very good. Something really weird happened. I thought I heard the sound of something like a rock or a stone or something up against my window. It wasn't coming from the ceiling. Then a few minutes later, my mother told me she was really, really upset, shaken up. Somebody thrown a rock or something at her window, and she went to look over to see if it had a crack or something in it. So somebody is throwing hard things up at our windows, but there's nobody outside right now. I didn't hear any commotion or any yelling or something. So now she's mad at me saying if I have any Trump signs, take them down. And I said, first of all, First Amendment, nobody has the right to tell people how they can express themselves. And the only thing that is visible right now is an American flag. And I'll be damned if I'm going to take that down. I mean, if anybody has a problem with me, and she thinks that this is due to something that I did, like what? She said, oh, you're the only one that has interactions with people. I said, what? Do you think maybe somebody knows that I have this channel and they're pissed off at me? I mean, and guess what? I'm not going to be silenced. You're not going to take my flag down. I'm not going to take that little women for Trump sign. It's not even in my room per se. That's bullshit. I'm not going to be silenced. And anyway, there's such a thing as personal responsibility. If somebody is doing something against us, it's on them. It's not our fault just because somebody's doing something. So anyway, more drama. It's 1:22 in the morning, late Monday night. Yeah, never a dull moment around here. I woke up, put some lipstick on. It is like right now it's 6:26 in the morning, but I woke up at 6 in the morning, as you see, with my makeup on and kicked over some cat food. I still have to film the turnaround that you originally saw for this, and I don't think I'm gonna wear what I'm wearing. But yeah, I have a whole bunch of cat food all over my floor now, and I gotta sweep that up before anything, because I just hate stepping in it and it just crunches into the carpet and wastes the food, and it's a big mess. Good morning. It is 44 degrees. I thought it was 37 degrees. It's supposed to really go down this week. The furnace kicks in a couple of times, but the radiator in my room is not on, doesn't feel like it, and certainly not on in the grow room. Brr, it's cold. Oh man, I have to wash my face and actually go to bed. When did you see my Cassie pain in the butt grouchy? Oh, look, she's so grouchy. What's the matter with you? Yes, am I such a bother? Is it too early in the morning for this? Snuck up to her. She was all curled up, and I scooped her up so I could use her in my video. I'm totally exploiting her for her beauty and her charm. I totally take advantage of the fact that she can't hear me, and I just sneak up on her and steal her. I play steal the kitty. And I'm exploiting you. People are watching you all over the world. I'm just such a terrible human. And never forget that when your human mommy died and the men took you away and put you in that little cage and they took you to shelter, I was the only one that knew about you. If I hadn't taken you out of there, where would you be right now? You were very ungrateful, kitty. You realize? Don't you realize that you recognized me when I saw you and I took you home? I didn't know what I was going to do with you, and I got you. I got you, yes. I didn't know what I was going to do with you. I thought I was going to have to make a cat house for you. I convinced the others to let you stay. I thought they were going to make me put you outside back in the garden. Look, is this a kind of gratitude? Is this the face of gratitude? Oh, yes, getting germies all over my sweatshirt. Getting germies all over my sweatshirt, yes. This is my ungrateful cat. My ungrateful Cassie girl. Now I can take my makeup off and go to bed. It's only 7:10 in the morning. We already have a sunset come up, you know? Hey, life in Utah. It is 7:55 in the morning. I still had to shoot some thumbnail pictures, and that's why I'm still up. And how I'm going to function tomorrow, I don't know. I still have a day job to do. I'm sure I have an errand or two, and I have to edit up this footage that you're about to see. So there are not enough hours in a day, I swear. Tabby boy, what you doing down there? Oh, what's my tabby boy down there for? That's odd. Usually that's where she goes. But you know what? They do like to be competitive with each other. I want to show you how these plants keep on leaning now. You see? My tomato plants are supposed to be up against the wall, and they're not. I wish my lettuce plant would hurry up and open up so that I could show you its flowers. It is 8:12 in the morning, and I didn't think that I would be bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and made up and stuff this early in the morning, but since that's what happens when you fall asleep when you're working your day job, and you know, you got two computers on all the time and stuff, and there's always something to do. I'm gonna have some tea. I'm not gonna make coffee yet because I haven't gone to bed yet. But the tea is on because of the thing that I use that boils it here. And I don't know how I'm going to get anything done today if I'm pretty much just now going to bed. I certainly can't expect the neighbors to be quiet. Add some more water to this. That pot keeps tea on all the time. And one tea bag till it starts looking really, really weak. Then I put another tea bag in. This is really dark, so I'm going to add a little bit of water to it. And I have no problem using tap water. Some people live in places where they don't like the taste of their tap water. They don't think it's safe or whatever. Atlantic City has some of the best tasting tap water in the United States. From what I know, they actually make awards. They have every year they have a contest, and the city has won awards. All I need is a little bit of this lime stuff. But really, one of these packets could last all week if you're using it for your tea. I just need one sweet and low. That tea is plenty strong even with all the water I put in it. Normally I would prefer coffee on an empty stomach. Oh, by the way, that hummus I made, I ate it all. I finished it up for my late night snack. There's maybe a tiny little bit in the bowl because I had myself 3 servings. I offered my mother some. She was in a grouchy mood and she declined. Well, over that whole kitchen thing is ridiculous. Why we can't be civilized and have multiple people in the kitchen at the same time is ridiculous. But this is not normal family. Wanted to show you Terry Boy one more time before I wash my face and go to bed. Because it's only 8:18 in the morning. Most of the world's waking up. And this is when I have to go sleepy boy? Yes. And Terry Boy sleeping in the hallway? Yes. Just because, you know, Cassie likes to get there. Oh, my baby. This is my baby cat. My sweetheart. Yeah, she doesn't sing the song that people all the time. Oh, you gonna give me kisses? Oh, you know how much I love my sweetheart. This is my sweetheart. You say, okay, anyway, anytime you're gonna put me down, right? This is my Tabby Boy. Oh, my Tabby Boy. What? Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Little black paw prints on the toilet seat? No. No, I don't think so. We are not having that. It's Cassie Boy. Cassie Boy. Cassie girl that does this. Don't even know the name of my damn cat. Why do I not know the name of my damn cat that has to drink toilet water? Because it is past 8 o'clock in the morning. I have sunblock on top of my skincare. I have not been able to get to sleep yet. I have a toilet drinking cat. Good morning, good night. Let's see. Here's my toilet drinker cat. Why you drink out of the toilet? There's fresh water in the kitchen. There's self water in my room. I'm sure there's water down in my brother's room. What the hell? Why you drink out of... Oh, and there's water from when my plants run off, too. You like that, too. The door's been closed. You can't get at that. Why you drink out of the toilet? I saw your paw prints. I saw proof. You drink out of the toilet. One of these days I'm going to catch you, and I'm going to put on videotape for everybody to see. And all people have to do is search on YouTube, and they'll find a toilet drinking cat. Did you do that before? Did you do that with Teresa? She'd be all messed up on drugs, and she'd forget to have water out, or maybe somebody kicked over the water, and you were thirsty, and you found the toilet. Said, oh my goodness, great fresh water. Huh? Boy, no, we do not have toilet drinkers in this house. Don't do it. That's a dog thing. I'm sorry. That's not acceptable. We don't have toilet drinkers. You're a toilet drinker. Yes, I cleaned the seat. I saw your paw prints. One of these days I'm going to film you. We're going to shame you. Name and shame. That's what we do. The toilet drinkers. I thought that was something that only dogs did. What do I know? You're a toilet drinker. You're a toilet drinker. Why you drink out of the toilet? You can't hear a word I'm saying. Oh, Cassie. My Cassie girl. My toilet drinking Cassie girl. I want you to see what time it is. This is the time I'm usually getting up, okay? I need to go to bed. See? You can't see my hair? I hide from the gang, all the dirt bags, you know? I could even hide out past the homeless people. You never know it was me. I did not get any sleep at all. I have to edit today. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you like me and my content, I'd love to have you subscribe. I'd love to take you along with me on my adventures with Cassie and with Tabby Boy. We'll talk to you soon. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.